not looking at you because I'm driving. I shouldn't make YouTube videos whilst driving, but I think it's fine because, like I said, I'm not looking at you. So I'm not making eye contact for a weird reason. Although, do you really make eye contact when it's a YouTube video? Stops at a light. Is that eye contact? I don't know. Anyway, doesn't really matter. So, what I was just thinking about as I was driving along was that I just didn't really enjoy this morning because I was rushing. I had quite a lot to do, and a lot of it is sort of just time importance. I have to get a semen sample up to Colorado State University. That's where I'm going now. Actually 2 horses, so 2 of my stallions, I've collected both of them, and I've got 2 semen samples. And without going into the details of all of that and why I'm having to do that, I'll just say that I've got to keep the stuff alive, and so there's a little bit of a schedule to be kept when I'm doing that. But I also had to do something for a friend, and there were some other things that I had to get done this morning because it's going to be 40 degrees or something insane this afternoon, and I'm not going to be outside. So I was rushing through my morning, and when I got in the car, and now I've got a bit of a drive ahead of me before I get to CSU, I was just thinking, well, that wasn't much fun. And that's the thing about rushing that makes me really dislike it, because you're just go and so anxious to get to the next thing because you don't want to be late to the next thing, or you just got to get everything done. You don't really enjoy any of the things that you're doing. You're just rushing through them, trying to get everything done. And so I hate being in a rush because it just makes everything that I'm doing really unenjoyable. And I was sort of thinking, you know, like, oh, thank God. Well, got that morning over. At least I don't have to rush around anymore. That's nice. And I was thinking, well, everything was a bit tight this morning. I made it, but everything was a bit tight. And my morning definitely would have been easier if I'd just not bothered to have breakfast, if I just skipped breakfast. But there's just no way in hell that I'm going to do that, because I don't want to skip breakfast. And I get pissy and irritable if I don't eat really regularly, and I'm not willing to do that. And that's not even necessarily because of my history. A lot of people's like, oh, is that because of your history of eating disorders? Are you scared it will come back? Like, no, I'm not fucking scared it will come back because I decided to skip breakfast. I just don't want to skip breakfast. I like my breakfast. I hate being hungry. I'm not doing it. And I think that a lot of people, if they had the morning that I had ahead of me this morning, would have just skipped breakfast and got on with everything. I know most of my friends would, but I don't. I never do. I never skip meals just because I like eating. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, but, you know, I was thinking when I had an eating disorder, well, that would have been a wonderful excuse to skip breakfast, wouldn't it? I loved any excuse to skip a meal. And I often created, when I had an eating disorder, I created days where I was just always rushing around. I did that on purpose. I actually felt a little bit panicked often if I didn't have something to do, or if I wasn't one thing straight onto the next thing, boom, boom, boom. I panicked if I thought I had spare time in a day. And the reason for that was because if I had spare time, if I wasn't being distracted by being frantically busy all the time, I'd get hungry. My mental hunger would come through and I'd want to eat. And so I avoided that, as a lot of people with eating disorders do, a lot of my clients do. I avoided that by packing my day too tight, full of things. So I was just moving from one thing to the next, and I was rushing. And that was my life. I don't do that in my life at all anymore. I hate rushing, and I love spare time. I love it. I just watch reruns of period dramas and stupid shit like that, but I love my spare time. And I just enjoy doing whatever I want to do. I mean, it's just a really wonderful thing if you think about it, because I used to be scared of spare time, and now I really enjoy it. Anyway, but that didn't used to be my life. My life used to be rushing from one thing to the next, frantic. And even just having a morning of doing that this morning, and I did stop for breakfast, so it wasn't like that at all, actually. just compared to my life now, it was a rush. But compared to my life then, it was probably relatively sane, my morning this morning. And I like enjoying what I do. I like not having to rush so that I can enjoy even the work tasks that I have to do and have time in between. I love having time in between so I can make a cup of tea and sit, I like having breaks, lots of breaks during the day. And I still sometimes look back or think back on how my life was every damn day, just packed to the brim, full of things, not things that were necessarily important or things that I had to do. I just packed my day and made up this sort of schedule of things that I had to do, which I didn't actually have to do, by the way. I just sort of, my brain told me that I had to do it as a tactic of keeping me just drastically, frantically busy so that I couldn't eat. And that means I wasn't enjoying anything that I was doing, and I knew a lot of what I was doing was pointless. I was just going through the motions. It's just a sad existence, or it was a really sad existence. And so I do think, I know it's a really cliche thing to say, but I do think if you're not happy, you've got to work out how to be happy. And when I say that, I don't mean you're happy because everything in your life is going brilliantly. Believe me, I have some stressors. A potentially infertile stallion is one of them, but I'll tell you about that another day. But believe me, I have some stressors. But you've got to work out how to be happy just doing whatever it is that you do, the mundane things, the normal day-to-day things in your day. Because if you don't do that, you're miserable. And my existence was miserable. All I did when I had an eating disorder was exist. I didn't enjoy anything. Like, I thought I enjoyed my binges, and in a way I did enjoy my binges, but it wasn't the sort of, it wasn't a normal type of enjoyment. It was a brain motivated, I'm fucking hungry kind of, like, I don't know what it was, weird. But that's all I have to say, is that life, if you're like me, you've got an eating disorder and you just schedule yourself right to the eyeballs just to distract yourself so that you can't eat. It doesn't have to be that way. And you can be a lot happier, and you can just enjoy the day. I never enjoyed the day. I got through the day. I existed through the day so that I could binge at night a lot of the time. But I wasn't enjoying what I was doing during the day. And now I do. That's all I have to say. All right, bye.